Hello, Cliff here. That's weird. I kind of rambled a bit last week about YouTube and making videos, and focusing more on that aspect of this channel. And so over the last week, I spent a lot of time not only drawing, but researching how to make my channel better. And I'm going to start doing a few things differently because of that. I watched a bunch of random tutorials, but I also spent a lot of time reviewing what I've been doing and thinking about what I could do better. I'm going to take the same learning strategy I've been applying to drawing, and I'm going to start applying it to my videos. And so a core aspect of that strategy is to do a lot of drawings, which means I need to make a lot of videos if I'm going to apply the same strategy. So what I'm going to do from here on out is actually try to make, instead of one weekly vlog, I'm going to continuously make them throughout the week. They'll be shorter and they'll be more focused, but they'll also give me more chances to experiment with different things, get more comfortable talking to the camera, which is super awkward if you've never done it. It'll also give me time to learn the software that I'm using and learn how to use my camera better, all that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of technical and artistic aspects of making YouTube videos that I didn't even conceive of when I started this channel. And now that I'm aware of those things, so now I have a better sense of what I need to learn, and so I'm going to start focusing on learning those things. So part of it is getting more comfortable talking on camera, being more natural, being more myself. It's hard to say, it's hard to describe how uncomfortable it is to talk to a camera. And I know at the end of the day, who I'm really trying to reach is you, the viewer, which at this point is pretty much nobody. But I think in the future, eventually somebody will probably watch these videos. So the things that I'm going to focus on going forward are the cinematography of the videos. I'm also going to focus on making the videos more entertaining and more natural. The person who has been in the videos so far is not who I actually am, if that makes any sense. And it'll never be who I actually am because it's a very edited version of myself and it's like a thing that I'm making, right? But that gets into a whole bunch of crap that I don't want to dive into right now. God, I'm rambling again. So one thing I'm going to be doing is not only learning the software, learning the cinematography, but also really trying to make a lot of these videos and then watch them, compare them to things that I like, and see what I can do better. And if I'm not making more videos, I can't do that. So the more videos I make, the more opportunities I have to learn, which is the same strategy I'm applying to drawing, as I said before. Before I started this channel, I thought this was going to be super easy. I sat down and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make this channel. It's going to be awesome. And I had all these ideas for what I would talk about and the topics I would cover, and the things I would show. And the reality is so much different than the expectation there. And I learned this when I was making my first video. I had all these great ideas about how I would approach it and how I would talk about it. But then when I actually sat down to make the video, I realized, of course, I had no idea what I was doing. And then I start looking at the camera and trying to talk to it, and it's super awkward. It's still super awkward, but it's getting better, I think, which is a strange skill to develop. I try not to think about it too much, but then I have to think about it to make it better. So one aspect of this that I knew about going into the project was that nobody cares about your videos or your art. Why would they? So when people watch your YouTube stuff or look at your art, they're looking at it because they're getting something out of it. And if you don't offer them anything, they're not going to look at it. And so another thing that I need to do is really look at what I'm putting out and analyze what is it actually offering somebody. So far I've tried to offer advice, but I'm still super new to this. And so there's not a lot of advice I can give, but then I do think there's value in seeing somebody go through the hurdles to get to the end. And so I want to put more focus on those hurdles and the problems you face along the way, because people will talk about them, but they never show them. Like, people who have gone through all that will talk about them, but they never, or rarely do you ever see them show what it really took to get to the end point. I kind of rambled about this last week, but I want to really drive that point that in a lot of ways this channel is about the hurdles and not the end point. With that being said, I do have an end point in mind for the channel, or at least I have a point that I want to get to before I reevaluate and look to where to go from there. What I imagine this channel being kind of like in the long run, maybe a few years down the line, it's kind of like Bob Ross meets Alan Watts meets, I don't know. What I want to do with the channel is get to a point where I can offer discussions about things like philosophy and motivation and psychology, but also offer discussions about art and expression and communication. And I don't think those two things are necessarily separate. In fact, I do think they're very interconnected. So like a core component of the channel for me is that something that I didn't feel like I learned until past college and into my career was that communication is an art form, and it's an important one. So going forward, I'm going to start doing more of these to build my communication skills, to be able to make these videos better, to be able to communicate better in my own life. So I know these first videos are terrible and nobody's going to look at them, and that's fine, but I want them to be there so that when my videos do get better from me doing so many of them, somebody can go back and look at them, and the videos will explain how they got better to a certain degree. And so one thing, and you hear this when you talk about advice as a thing, or the advice that a lot of people have to give comes from their own experience, but your learning comes from your mistakes, right? So a lot of the advice that people give is really like the things that they think about and the things that they care about. So the advice that they give from those things is a lot of ways based on the mistakes they made when they were younger, or at least mistakes they saw other people make. So what I'm saying is, you know, a lot of advice is targeted towards like your younger self. And I think that's definitely true for this channel. Like, a lot of these things that I'm talking about are things I wish I would have understood when I was younger. And so my hope is that other people that care about these things, are struggling with these things, will be able to find this channel and then not have as much problems as I have. I think that's all I have to say about that.